most dangerous terms in English dictionary. If it could be translated into audio, it would sound like, from the saxophone of Lisa Simpson, 2 words designed and strategically combined to form the biggest oxymoron in the history of mankind. Almost. You see, as far as this world is concerned, you could live your life foul and could almost get away with murder if you have a nice smile. You could almost meet folks just to almost sleep around and stop by at your local clinic where you almost have a child, but see, almost. It's no stranger to Satan. Here's proof. Satan only tells lies when they're almost the truth. And it's amazing. In our incompleteness, we find complacency, but almost is one of Lucifer's many traits, and somehow we've inadvertently become good at Satan impersonations. But on the contrary, Christ did his job fully. And he proved he was God when he died on the cross like it was his duty, and departed my iniquities that I committed rudely. He resurrected from the grave just to tell death to excuse me. But excuse me. This is your life, and that's something I can't impose on. But your body is God's home, which wasn't loaned to get foreclosed on. You see, an almost Christian looks right, but lives right. Can't stand the conviction in Romans, so they try to sit down to be comforted in Psalms. Never understood worship, but love to lift their hands and sing songs like, they love to lift their hands and sing songs like, I surrender almost. Because it's far too expensive for you to spend your life on something that is an appeal to your 5 senses. And nowadays, Christianity is like a loony bag. No functional use, but we just rock it because it's stylish. Not righteous, but right-ish. So all God sees is a pile of Ishmaels when he intended for Isaacs. And we're moved by our emotions, so we're saved when we feel like it. So technically, we've never really been saved. We've merely tried it, so no wonder why we're never sold out when we return it after we buy it now. Let me break it down because we need to beware. Our lives could lack the very standards that need to be there. Because on that final day of judgment, while God's receiving his heir, will he say, son, well done, or medium rare. Think about worldly standards. It would be highly insane for you to start spending all of your money days before you almost get paid by parents. We wouldn't send the kids to a school that's almost safe. And ladies, would you honestly date a man who claims he's almost straight? Now this is the very thing about God that we all try to get around. But his standards are like between 2 closely engrafted mountains. There is no middle ground. So a halfway life is not profitable to you. Because after all the Sunday services, Bible studies, and prayer meetings, God may still say, I never knew you. And that's not even the worst part of living your life as neutral, is that you were once Arctic, but it's your warmness that is causing him to spew you. See, this is exactly the type of mentality that had me. I was bound and held down by the unforgiving gravity of my spiritual reality. I wasn't Christian. Or at least I portrayed the fantasy. With a filthy personal life, but God bless you, brother. How you doing, sister? Personality. I was a male. Enveloped by guilt because I was stamped a sinner. I said I was a male. Enveloped by guilt because I was stamped a sinner. My message couldn't be received because I didn't represent the sender, yet I was almost delivered. Till that one day I totally, completely, and absolutely surrendered. Took heed to a modern prophet who proclaimed it was time for change. Now I'm no longer bound to sin, point blank off the chain. But you can ask Umar Abdul-Muttalib, and he'll tell you the same. But you don't almost go to jail when you almost go to a plane. We don't almost go to hell. We almost get saved. Despise the cross that he was slain, and thus the cause in which he came. But don't worry, I'm almost done. But before I leave this stage, we have all worked in sin, and death was minimum wage. I said, we all worked in sin, and death was minimum wage. But if it wasn't for Christ, we would have almost got paid. God bless you guys. That peace. This speech just to remind you who you are. I think one of the biggest problems with today is we have bad memory. We forget how good God was yesterday, so we don't trust Him for tomorrow. We forget who we are in the present. And for everyone who gets into the temptation and forgets who they are, forgets the strength that they have, forgets the power that they have to overcome the temptation, and you're messed up because you're a misfit. You go to school and you want to talk about Jesus, but they don't want to talk about Jesus. You're messed up because at your work you don't feel like you have a basis of conversation. I want you to understand that it's good that you're alive because you've been sent out into darkness, not to be hidden, not to be put out, but you're sent out to lighten where you go. You're supposed to be a bright light wherever you go. And don't let anyone put it out, telling you that you're a misfit, telling you that you can't fit in. A misfit is not a diss, it's a compliment. You stand out, you are unique, you are a child of God. And you are distinct. That makes a difference. And so this is to make you proud of that. So let me get out your way, okay? See, I began with media, because media began with me. And I decided from that moment on, I am TV. Because when you broadcast your faith, you get alienated. And really, who wants to be E.T.? Yes. I remember the time I gave in to my desire to blend in because I couldn't beat it. So I moonwalked my way back into slavery from freedom, trying to be bad like them. I said I'm good on Jesus. And just like that, Satan, being the smooth criminal he is, creeps in the human nature to jack sons out of the kingdom. And sometimes the church doesn't even understand, and it's fearful. So when folks come in lost, we forget who they're there for. Like, these seats are for the deacons, but you can sit way in the rear, though. Or when someone just gets saved and leaps in praise because they're cheerful, someone taps their nearest neighbor like, I told you he was a weirdo. And all my life, my focus has been on the he deems or she deems that I didn't have the time nor will to be redeemed. I needed someone to validate the thoughts that Satan and valet parked in my heart till I sought spiritualists who taught me that I needed to find myself. But even nature proves the best way to know what something is to know what something came from. So it's apparent that knowing the parent is imperative. But my original parents were flawed, so I had to change parents, and trans means change. So I had to become transparent then. God could see me through because He had to see through me to show me who I am in Him. And God told me that the only place that I would ever need to fit in was His arms. And I could see that I was different because there was no difference between standing out and outstanding. And I am unique, and I am His seed, and I am a blood-washed child of His kingdom. Instantly I received it. So even when people believe that I'm faking, I thank them because one day I prayed to be Christ's imitation. Yo, tribulations, I eat them for dinner. The persecutions for breakfast, and yes, it's hard to swallow and too big for me to stomach this burden, so I throw up my arms like white flags because I'm believing to this earth. Surrendering is worship. I'm not perfect, but I'm a servant that makes my body a servant, which makes me certain that no weapon formed against me shall prosper. To God, I'm a saint, but to Satan, I'm a monster. God, I'm a saint, but to Satan, we are monsters. So when it comes to stepping on the enemy, that we should be rocking a medal. I'm a man, but when stomping these devils, it's like I'm rocking stilettos. You're the point. We're to God's heart. That makes us obviously special. No wonder why these cholesterol demons are so stuck on blocking these vessels, because they know that we're walking records of the greatest producer to ever live. You see, our God's been making beats since the first chapter of Genesis. But I can't deny that I had to use realize to realize that I had an eye problem until I visited the eye doctor. And he told me that I needed to cross out my knees, to cross out my eyes, and that I'd never be able to see life until I see life. Cross-eyed, I mean cross-eyed. He changed the way I see and literally became my visine just to show me that without a drop of him, I burn. I mean, without a drop of him, I burn. And as a result, I learned never to battle with my wardrobe, nor to cling like lint to the very things I use to clothe my self-esteem, but rather to acknowledge God. And even though I may stink to life, he washed me and made me fresh to death. I said, even though I may stink to life, he washed me and made me fresh to death. Yes, I am fresh to death. Who cares what this world thinks of me? I'm so fresh that even if I die now, my soul will be like the sweetest aroma to God while my bones will be damn Dougie. But trust me, this is my point for those of you who are nodding off during most of what I was saying. Never be so obsessed with image that you ignore who's you're made in. So if anyone ever tells you that you only count if you fit in, they should be held accountable for teaching counterfeits in. But instead I say, for those of you that have been saved by God's grace and his favor, stop trying to please them because it's not their job, nor place to embrace you. See, I'd rather be an outcast now than get cast out later. Shapes your mind, you choose virtue over sin, and start feeling like a square despite the circle that you're in. He said, come out from among them and be ye separate from the superficial things of this life. That's the only type of segregation that Christ has ever accepted. And let's just say, the body was solely appearance-based. If you were to take away the beautiful face and the curvy shape, then what would you have left to hold on to? Nothing. But a waist. So when I look into a mirror, instead of seeing my flyness, I simply behold the magnificent skills of a graceful pilot, recognizing that I was born like this to conform to his likeness, and that my only identity crisis was an identity crisis. My failure to see and identify who Christ is. My advice is plain. If you're like me and you're tired of trying to fit into this world, let's all pretend this is our fitting room and change.